Peaky Blinders is unfortunately coming to an end with its 6th and final season. But did you know that a certain fan favorite character was not actually supposed to return for the show's final season? In today's video, we are going to be letting you in on all the behind-scenes work that led to the return of Tom Hardy's Alfie Solomons. So stay tuned, because you are not going to want to miss a second of this video. It took some convincing, but Tom Hardy essentially willed his way back on the show. According to the showrunner and creator of Peaky Blinders, Stephen Knight, Tom Hardy was never originally planned to return as his fan-favorite mobster Alfie Solomons for the 6th and final season, which makes sense considering that the character was shot dead, or at least we thought, way back in the finale of Season 4 by Cillian Murphy's character, Tommy Shelby. Everybody assumed that Alfie was in fact dead because he got shot in a sensitive area. And for those who do not know how Alfie died, I am not insinuating something dirty. I mean that he was shot directly in the face, which apparently only kills somebody 99 times out of 100, as opposed to the previous theory that it killed somebody 100 times out of 100. But honestly, I'm glad to see that we were all wrong and that Alfie Solomons is alive to wreak havoc on the Shelby family, Thomas in particular. But like we mentioned earlier, Tom Hardy was never in the plans to be in Season 6. At the time of his shooting, it was the intention of Stephen Knight to keep Solomons in the ground for good, but was convinced to write the character back into the show by none other than Tom Hardy himself. And it has been in the works for quite some time, as Alfie Solomons was confirmed to still be alive in the finale of Season 5, which made fans incredibly excited. For those who are unaware, Tom Hardy recently made his first appearance in the 6th season of the show, and it looks like he is getting ready to mount revenge and cause havoc that I personally cannot wait for. While that is all exciting and good, I think it needs to be stated how good of a persuasionist Tom Hardy must be in order to convince somebody to change the entire course of a show that they created. Either that, or the ideas that Tom and Stephen thought up after entertaining the idea of bringing Alfie back were so diabolic to pass up that they knew that they had to resurrect the beloved character for the show's last hurrah. Although we aren't quite sure what exactly Alfie will be doing in his return to the series, we do know wherever he goes, chaos will follow. While it is not exactly confirmed as to what Alfie will be doing on the show as of this recording, it has been confirmed that the return of Alfie Solomons is going to be pretty crazy for the Shelbys and will most definitely be throwing a wrench into Thomas's plans for the business. Showrunner and creator Stephen Knight has backed up this claim by saying that we should all be expecting chaos from the return of Alfie Solomons. And I mean, how could we expect anything else, right? I mean, one of the biggest characters of the show just came back from being shot in the face. If that doesn't spell chaos, then I'm not sure what else could. But I have also learned that we need to stop underestimating this crew of writers, Stephen Knight especially. It is clear that he and his team were not worried about going off the rails with this final season, and they were clearly willing to do anything with this final season, and I truly dig that notion. While we're all still relatively in the dark as to what Alfie will be doing in his return to the show, other than the fact that Alfie and Tommy have decided to once again do business with one another, we do have a quote from Knight that has all us superfans questioning everything we know or thought about the final season. Knight said, "I think it's difficult to explain without giving stuff away, but we might find Alfie in a position not quite as strong as he normally is." Knight added, "And the question is, can he build himself back up? I don't know, Stephen. Can he? Aren't you supposed to answer our questions?" While it is obvious that Knight is just ensuring that the show's plot points and major secrets don't get leaked, it certainly does not leave us with too much concrete facts to run with, other than the fact that it appears as if Alfie is going to have to rethink his contribution to the gang and find a way to be useful in other ways besides his brute strength, which he so heavily relied on in seasons prior. But how did Tom Hardy convince Stephen Knight to revive a dead character? There may be some clues as to their plans for Alfie in that conversation, right? Tom Hardy never gave up on the idea of his character returning to the show, and it was actually thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic that he got to see his wish come true. Most people, myself included, found it hard to find very many, if any, upsides to the world being shut down thanks to a global pandemic, but it appears as though Tom Hardy and fans of Peaky Blinders can add this one tiny silver lining in a time of darkness and sadness for the entire globe. According to Stephen Knight, the pandemic obviously forced the team to stop production of the show and halt the filming of Season 5 and the original version of the 6th season. It was during that time in which Knight was convinced by Hardy to bring back Alfie Solomons for the finale of Season 5 and into an updated version of Season 6. Hardy gave the inspiration to Knight, and the rest is history, as they say. In an interview explaining how this whole new version of Season 6 came to life, Knight said, "I mean, the main thing is, we lost a year really, pretty much about exactly. And what it does, which anybody who makes a show like this knows, it's absolutely a juggling act of getting availability of different actors. So as soon as you lose a year, all the availability changes. So you then have to know who's available with who, and it becomes a real conundrum. But there's always a way to do it, and you can adjust the script to take care of that. So it appears as though there may have been some scheduling conflicts prior to the pandemic that were resolved due to the pandemic, which allowed for the actors to be at the same place at the same time in order to shoot this alternate version of Season 6. Knight also said, but the actual shooting itself obviously was affected by the bubble, and everybody has to stay locked down. But in the end, I think what it possibly does is make the production team isolated and closer. I think somehow the mood of this series, you can really feel that intensity. So it sounds like whatever Tom Hardy inspired Stephen Knight to create was amplified by the crew having to be in a bubble to shoot. And we can feel the emotion and the frustration in every scene, and I love it. I'm never a huge fan of dead characters making their way back in shows or films, but it seems like Tom Hardy knew what he was suggesting to Stephen when he inspired him to resurrect Alfie. So what can we expect from the finale of Season 6, and thus the entire series of Peaky Blinders? What twists and turns can we expect going forward in Season 6? To be very frank with all of you, I literally have no idea what will happen in the finale, and I love it. Knight has done an excellent job ensuring that we are always on our toes, and has proven to us time and time again that we truly have no idea what could happen at any given time throughout the show's history. But there are some pretty interesting theories being thrown around online that suggest that we could have an insane ending to the TV series. Keep in mind that it has been confirmed that the true finale of the Shelby saga will in fact be a feature-length film, and that the show will be a catalyst for the film. But we could see the Shelbys identify the black cat that Tommy has been seeing in his dreams as of late. Tommy and the rest of the Shelbys take signs and dreams incredibly seriously, and it has been interpreted by Aunt Polly that Tommy's dreams may be more than just a coincidence, and that there may in fact be a traitor amongst the group. It has been suggested that the finale of the show will in fact reveal who the black cat is, and thus thrust the family into a whirlwind prior to the film that will mark the end for the Shelby saga. Along with this idea, I believe that we will see Gina and Michael take a prominent stance as this season's antagonists to the Shelby family after Michael's blatant betrayal of the family towards the end of Season 5. That's all we have for you guys today on the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you all in the next video.